What is going on, fellas? And welcome back to Hungary for Success with me, FoggyPlays, on FM21. Today we're taking on Başakşehir in the Europa League. First knockout round, second leg. We've already played the first leg. And we're going to have a look at the transfers that we've done during the winter window, because we have been surprisingly busy. Much more than I expected we would be. So if you do want to enjoy this episode, do make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are aiming for 500 subscribers before the end of the month, and I believe that we can get there. It's like we beat them 5-2, much closer than the result would kind of lead you to believe. You'd look at that and you say 5-2, well, you must have dominated the game. No, not really. We were just somewhat lucky, I would say. But like I said, it's been quite a while since you were here last, which was the game against Benfica back in December. It is now the middle of February. We went and beat Fasas 6-2, quite a comfortable game. Played a bunch of friendlies. The game against Hungary, this friendly, most of our players were off doing other things, which was delightful. But we came back from our little mini holiday. We beat the scootR 6-0, as you can see. Carlsberg scoring 4, Grodom getting a brace. Then we went up against our affiliate club, who are a lower half mid-table team in the division below. We barely scraped a victory. We played against Kishvarda, did a pretty decent job of just doing what we needed to do against them. Then against Meshkoved, 2-1. They absolutely slapped us about the place. And I don't mean like in their ability. They just injured our players. Picked up 2 injuries in the first 25 minutes, which was just fantastic. Then against Ferver, 3-2. As you see, 2 names here you don't recognise scoring goals. Then we absolutely smashed Újpest in the first of a triple header against Újpest. Scoring 7. Yosefin, I'm always saying it. We had him at our club on trial. Wasn't good enough to play for us. Went off and joined Újpest, and he's done fairly well for himself. The second game we played against them was in the league, and we beat them 4-1. Fenjofalvi is an ex-player for ourselves. We sold him on. He's come back to haunt us in a way where he scored 1 goal against us. And then in the second leg of the Hungarian Cup, away from home again, 5-3. Mary with a brace. Savic with a hat-trick. Sander Toth also scoring a hat-trick, but unfortunately for him, was not enough. In the game against Başakşehir, we beat them 5-2, as I previously stated. Fuskas scoring 2 early goals. Carlsberg also scoring an early goal. Savic scored in the 41st, and Grodom scored just before halftime. If it wasn't for Brian Brobbery could have had so many goals for Başakşehir. He was just not quite up to it on the day. And then against Hungary, we smashed them 5-0. As you can see, Paul Carlsberg scored every one of the 5 goals, 3 of which were penalties. So he had a hat-trick of penalties and almost a double hat-trick in goals scored total. He was on fire in that game. As you can see here, we have 2 players that are joining us in the future. Martin Baider is a Hungarian attacking midfielder / can play in central midfield. I gave him his debut. He's just keep forgetting to put him back in. He is joining us in July. And Anis Ben Said is a Tunisian. Okay, he is Tunisian, fantastic. A Tunisian central midfielder. We're paying 2 million for at some in January next year. To be arriving, I think it's because of his birthday. But as you can see, we've brought in quite a number of players. It's, spent a decent amount of money. Fabinho came in as a potential option up front. We did agree to loan him out, so he's gone to Újpest, but he's picked up an injury, so he's not going to get much in the way of game time for the time being. Oh, actually, I forgot about Isaac Hansen Aronen. We signed him on a free transfer from Man United. He was out of contract with Man United for quite a while. Interestingly, he rocked up on was it the 10th or the 9th? He arrived on the 12th of December. And if you look at his injuries, he arrived just before the break. He then injured his hip, and then the next day pulled his groin in a match. Don't know why he was playing in that match with a hip injury, but my assistant keeps telling me we need to change our tactic to get him into the team. He's not available. He's injured constantly. Lamine Lago is a defensive midfielder / centre midfielder who's going to get an opportunity when he gets an opportunity. He's just a little bit young at the minute, so we're going to see how he gets on in the future. Who else has come in? Martinelli, Macedonian. It's just my coaches and assistant and scouts were all a little bit wrong about him. Landry Kwasi is just back from an injury now. He is an absolute fantastic centre midfielder. Playing him as a Mazzella. Look at this guy. Oh. And we paid pretty much nothing from 215,000 all in. So I'm quite happy with that. Kwasi is fantastic. Brian Haller is a left back we brought in from Nacional. Been looking at him for a little while. He's agreed to join us. He's now gone out and on to Ujpest as well. He's off at Ujpest. We also brought in Kubista from Slavako. He's another left back. You can probably see a trend here. Someone left us who is a left back. So we brought him in. He's been getting a lot of first team football. Haller just went out on loan, like I said. Luis Miguel Diaz is a wonder kid central midfielder from Mexico who we paid small fortune for, 7.25 million. He's decent. Enrico, don't worry about him. Pataki, just a Hungarian goalkeeper I signed from Heidenheim because I could. Then Shannon Davidson is an Australian, I was going to say New Zealand, no, he's Australian centre back we signed from Borussia Dortmund. And Rashid Mayer is a left back from Morocco who just was quite cheap, so I was like, why not? Players that have left though, Oriola went to Salzburg for 5.5. Karetic went to Juventus for 7 or 6 million. Hasn't played a game for them yet, but has played a couple of games for the under 23s, which is kind of what you'd expect. Maputa, DL Pro, as you can see, 11.75 million now. His release clause was 2.9 million. They paid it, and Maputa has left us, which was a little disappointing. China seems to take all our good players when they have release clauses. We need to stop offering release clauses to players. Janjic has gone as well. Who else? Fabinho, Haller, but went out on to Ujpest on the same day. And then Tran Van Vu, our Vietnamese midfielder who wants to be a right back, is after moving out on loan again. My head of youth development accepted that loan, and because it went through on deadline day, before I had a chance to do anything about it, he was gone. So 1 start, 9 substitute appearances in the league, 4 starts, 12 subs appearances, and a goal. He offered something to the team, but we're not going to get to see him for the rest of the season. It'd be nice if he gets some first team football. As you can see here, they're telling me I need to play the 4-2-3-1 wide so I can get Hansen Aronin into the team. He's been injured since he arrived, so and it's still going to be out for another 2 months, 7 weeks. Yeah, so don't expect to see too much of him. Mark O'Neill is actually fit to play this game, which he originally wasn't. He's going to sit this one out though. So Werner is starting in goal. Still wants to leave the club, but he's less annoyed by it. Bartek and Kubista as our wingbacks. Barreto and Gatarek as our central defence. Kwasi and Zamorano in central midfield. Savic and Kalsberg as our wide men. Mandira and Fuskis as our strike force. Bordet no longer wants to leave the club, which is just fantastic. Medina has picked up a little bit of an injury, so he's going to be out for a little while. Not ideal. Vlek is back from his injury. Not had a huge amount of first team football because he's taking years to recover from that injury. And just to kind of let you know how Kalsberg's getting on, 19 appearances in the league, 25 goals, 9 assists on a 7.79. But then you look at his overalls, 33 appearances, 35 goals. He's missed 3 of the 11 penalties, so he scored 8. But he's got 13 assists, 10 player of the matches, and a 7.65 average rating. The man is a monster. There was some Chinese club were whispering about taking or making an offer for him. Nothing came in, so we don't have to worry about it too much because Nobody came in and tried to take him away from us. Our club legend. They've Papagay. Or Papagay? Isn't that how you pronounce it? In their central midfield. Other than that, Brian Aboy is sitting on the bench for today's game. So there's potential for them to cause us issues with a different striker up front, because Brian Aboy was a little ineffective against us, I would say. He was playing as a deep lying forward, but he was just kind of like left by himself. The attacking midfielder they had wasn't really involved in the game all that much. He just kind of stood in the midfield more than kind of helping Brian Aboy. So he's not had the greatest of. He didn't have the greatest games against us. It was his like third appearance for Başakşehir. He'd only just signed recently before that, and Fuskis puts it wide. We are starting with Mandira and Fuskis up front today, because Grodum's just dropped off form a little bit. Hadn't scored for a while. Did pick up a couple of goals in the last couple of games, but he's just been not necessarily non-existent. He's just been a little on the floating in and out of games. So we're just gonna rest him. We are going to say, don't get complacent. Bartek is like, what do you mean? Don't get complacent. I never get complacent, boss. Bartek has become our number one right back this season, with everything that's been going on with our right back injuries, which has obviously set us back just a smidge. But Fuskis gets it to Mandira. Can't find the crossover. Emre Celik actually getting involved in the game. And now Cordoba is true, but Werner with the save. He wants to try and win the Europa League. Completely forgot the name of the competition. I think he wants to win the Europa League before he moves. But a lot of the clubs that are trying to sign him, and the clubs that he's like complaining that he's not being allowed to move to, have a lower reputation than we do. So I'm not 100% sure what he thinks a bigger club is. They've just brought Brian Babawi on to play as a deep lying forward again. So they're just kind of giving up, I guess. They're just like, we'll just play to what we know we can do. Grodum's going to move over, or Grodum's going to come on for Mandira, because he's been non-existent today. Gilmer's going to come on for Savic, because Savic has been, again, non-existent. But then nobody's really showed up today. Başakşehir haven't shown up. We've not really kind of bothered either. So I guess just kind of one of those days where nobody really wanted to win the game. Kubista finds Grodum. Fuskis can't get it down. And there's just a lot of falling over, and I think that's a penalty. No penalty. Okay, so we get a free kick though. Carlsberg steps up to take it, and of course finds the top corner. 36th goal of the season. Not a single issue for Carlsberg. We're going to make our final change now. We're going to take off Tarek, bring on Stepanenko, confirm that, and we are a go-go. Game's going to end quite a lackluster game, but we still come through with the victory. 6-2 on aggregate, 1-0 on the night. Fine. We finished the job. That is perfect. So we're going to be back in just a second to see who we draw in the next round. Right, fellas, so it is time to draw the Europa League second knockout round. And as you can see, there's teams varied, such as Arsenal, Sevilla, AIK, and Dorogi. Can we continue the onward trajectory that we've been on, where we've managed to somehow make it to the semi-final 2 years in a row? Well, if we avoid Arsenal, Sevilla, Leipzig, Napoli, we're actually not that. We're fairly high ranked as well, though. We're like the joint 5th highest coefficient team. But for some reason they picked on us. I wouldn't mind a game against Hertha. Hertha, a team I support in real life. I wouldn't mind Copenhagen. Leipzig, okay? Dynamo, we can beat Dynamo. They've gotten Leicester. Okay, so I would like AIK, Fenerbahce, or Hertha Berlin, but I feel like it's going to be Arsenal or Sevilla. Sevilla. Because of course it is. So we need to get through Sevilla to get into the next round, and a bunch of our games have been moved. So what's the story with this? Also we're playing Vasas in the Hungarian Cup quarterfinals, but I think for the next episode, because it's not too far away, we might do just Ferencvaros and Sevilla. Ferencvaros sitting third, Sevilla quite a decent team, you could say. We're a 3-star reputation. Yeah, 3-star reputation, but we state of the art everything because we've just put so much money in. We've just dropped below 60 million for the first time in how long has it been since we had 60 million in the bank? That'll be what, August 2028. So it's been a while, and we're projected to, hemorrhage money, but we're going to get Champions League money, which is the most important thing. But league wise, I've just realised I never actually showed you this. We are sitting 17 points clear atop the league. Újpest and Ferencvaros equal on points. I think as it is right now, we can't finish any lower than 5th. So we're guaranteed Europe again next season. But there is, like I said, 2 Champions League spots available because of how well we've been doing in Europe. And I say we because none of the other Hungarian teams are even getting past the qualification rounds. So hopefully they can follow us into, doing something. Just anything. But this will definitely make a difference for the other clubs in Hungary because we're getting more prize money into the division. So that makes massive difference to what other clubs in the league are able to actually spend. Because it's quite difficult for a lot of them to get the big bucks to spend on players. But yeah, I think it has to be said. I think we're probably confirmed. Like, oh no, it says we can only finish top 8 now. It said we could finish. We were guaranteed top 5 before the last match against Hungary. Interesting, but we take on MTK in the next game. I'm not too worried about that. So next episode, like I said, Ferencvaros and the second leg against Sevilla. Not a huge gap between the games, but I also don't really want to put you through watching like Vasas because it's not going to be an overly interesting game. As you can see, they are struggling. Only beaten Meshkovec so far this year. They're just not having a great time. Carlsberg, on the other hand, Carlsberg is scoring quite a lot of goals. 36 goals in 34 games. If you haven't already, Paul Carlsberg, what a player to sign. Oh, he's having his best season of his career, and that includes his time in Faroe Islands. This is his best season of his career. No, it's not. No, this one. 27 appearances, 21 goals. That was his best season. He still has time. We still have 11 games left of the season. Yeah, 11 games left of the season. So, if you have enjoyed this episode, do make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share with all of your friends, and I will see you in the next one.